We want to bring in and welcome Democrat Stephen Olikara and Republican Ashley Guenther. Stephen, you know about being an underdog on the debate stage.
Yes.
Tonight, half of the field is polling under 5%. What is the strategy to break through?
Well, those single-digit candidates need a breakout moment that consists of three things. They need to speak to an issue that's on the minds of a lot of Americans. They need to speak to an issue that's core to them and their core brand. And they need to deliver in a pithy and kind of solid way. And so it's a scorcher out here. It's going to heat up in that arena. And I think those single-digit candidates have a chance to break through. They're actually better on the general election stage. But right now, we're going to see if Ron DeSantis can meet the moment.
So, Alesha, you've helped come together with communications, the strategy for Republicans. So when you look at these candidates tonight, what strategy do you think they're using to try to reach not only Wisconsin voters, but across the nation?
You know, I think Stephen is exactly right. These candidates are looking for a breakout moment. And, they're trying to differentiate themselves between each other. But at the end of the day, they have to differentiate themselves with their real opponent, Joe Biden. And, Joe Biden was just here last week touting Bidenomics and claiming that everything's fine. But, the truth is, Republicans can speak directly to Wisconsinites who are having trouble affording groceries and gas. Prices are up 17%. The average Wisconsin family is paying about $8,000 a year for inflation. Those are huge issues for Republicans to be able to capitalize on and hopefully bring some undecided voters into their camp.
So this question is for both of you. We're seeing more and more younger voters engaged in the process, right? But at the same time, they're learning real life issues. I want to know, environment being one of the top key things that young voters are talking about, what does the conversation really have to be in 2024 for them to win that voter block?
Stephen?
Well, I think young people, millennials, Generation Z, they want a candidate who's going to proactively advance an agenda on the environment and climate change. And that's something that is a clear winner for Democrats right now. Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the biggest investment in clean energy in American history. And so do any of these Republican candidates have an agenda that can speak to those young people? That's going to be crucial for them to win Wisconsin, which they need to win the general election.
Alicia, what do you think?
I think Republicans are really trying to invest in different kinds of energy and looking at the environment in a pretty meaningful way because they realize the economy and all the investment that renewable energy development can bring is fantastic. And, I think candidates really understand that young voters care about this. But at the end of the day, I think we're really going to be talking about the economy tonight. This is a Republican primary debate. They're going to speak directly to the issues that are core to the GOP base.
Steve, tomorrow morning, people are going to be talking about what was the viral moment, what was the key moment. Yeah. When you went into the debate for the U.S. Senate in the Democratic primary, did you have something scripted? Were you looking to deliver something that you thought would be in the news the next day?
It's a good question. I think, again, you want to be prepared for a moment that can come, but you don't want to be overly scripted. I think the key with a debate like this is to be honest, be authentic, have a real conversation with the voters. And so, again, if that moment comes to draw a contrast with another candidate, take that opportunity. And some candidates, I think, like Vivek Ramaswamy, is positioned to do something like that. But is he going to rise to the moment? We'll see.
Alicia, I want to ask you, do you think it's wise for them to go after the top polling candidates that are here tonight or to aim at Trump?
I think they're going to take a variety of approaches that'll be interesting to see what plays out. And, I think the messages are really interesting, too. You have folks like Nikki Haley that are really focused on the whole age issue and saying that we need a new generation of leaders. They're going to find their niche, and they're going to find a way to set themselves apart from each other so that they gain some popularity.
So you're both young voters. Give me a quick synopsis. What do you think young voters are looking for tonight, Alesha?
I think young voters are looking for a meaningful way to be a part of the process. I think they can look at our current president, Joe Biden, who's 80 years old, and, maybe not relate with him as much, which I think gives a real opportunity for some of these younger candidates out in the stage to break through and hopefully make a connection with some of these folks.
Well, I'd agree with the first part of that, not the second part. I think that young people are looking for a fresh candidate with some new ideas. And young people believe this political system is not delivering for them. That's why you see these high levels of disenchantment with political institutions across the board. So who's actually going to fundamentally change the system so it delivers for young people on the environment, student debt, and other issues? And so far, we haven't heard that from these Republican candidates. Let's see if they do it tonight.
Well, we'll be listening for sure.
Hopefully they won't be sweating as much as we are.
It's cool in there, hot out here.
Thank you both for coming on the show with us tonight.
Thank you.